You're watching Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I am your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. We got a major update around Asante Samuel Jr. Remember, the Saints hosted him on a visit a while back, and he's still available in free agency, so we're going to talk about the latest around one of the top free agents available. Plus, we got some updates around the practice squad, waiver claims, and all that good stuff, so we're going to get you notified here in this video. Really quickly, want to take an updated look at our August sub battle. We were down by 30. Now we're only down by 3. So who dat nation? I'm asking for your help one more time. Let's bury our baby brothers. Get more subscribers right now. And if you're a diehard Saints fan, this is the channel for you. Daily Saints content by fans, for fans. We put out 7 videos yesterday. How could you not want to subscribe to the channel? Lock us in if you're a rowdy Saints fan. Let's talk about Asante Samuel Jr. Just kind of a refresher. I wanted to first hone in on why we're having this conversation. He had neck surgery back in April. He visited with the Saints in May, and he does intend to play this season. The injury update we have will kind of add some context as to when he'll play this season. He did play with Brandon Staley from 2021 to 2023. Some of his best football was when Brandon Staley was his coach, and he turns 26 years old in October, so he's still a very young player, still has a long NFL career, pending injuries, of course, and hopefully his injuries can heal properly and he can get back on the field because he is a very quality football player. As for that injury update, major news, Jeremy Fowler reporting yesterday. We didn't get to talk about it because, again, we had so much news happening. Spencer Rattler named QB1, roster cuts, 53-man was set. I mean, so much happened, a trade. So today we're talking about this. He was scheduled to undergo a CT scan in October to ensure that he had a successful spinal fusion. At that point, he will look to sign with a team for the second half of the season. Several teams have kept in touch, and I believe the New Orleans Saints are definitely one of those teams. Obviously, because of the connections to Brandon Staley, and I do believe the Saints value quality defensive backs. They always have, and I think that Asante Samuel Jr. would make a lot of sense to bring into this cornerback group, especially considering the amount of youth and the lack of quality reps that is currently on the depth chart in the cornerback room. For Asante Samuel Jr., I personally would be in love with bringing him back, but it has to be under the right circumstances. And some of those conditions would be, I don't want to have to overpay. I want it to be a very team-friendly contract. The injury is something definitely worth noting, and I don't want to just give away a ton of money because you do have to be conscious with your spending, especially as you move forward with this team. You also need to make sure that he obviously clears the medicals. And I will also say, if you have some injuries settle in, then you should definitely be sprinting to go and sign this player. You will see a lot of other teams be interested in Asante Samuel Jr. You will see injuries settle in with other squads. So he is a player that whenever he clears medically, he will be getting a lot of phone calls, and the Saints need to keep their eyes on him. Now, in terms of what the cornerback room looks like right now, Isaac Yiadom, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Taylor, those are your 3 starters. Rajon Wright beat out Rico Payton, who, fun fact, just signed with the Giants in waivers. Quincy Riley, rookie draft pick out of Louisville. He is the backup to Kool-Aid McKinstry. And Ugo Amadi, he made the roster once again as the backup nickel. And we've talked about Asante Samuel Jr. because he is a really, really good football player. In 2024, he only had 4 games played, 2 pass breakups, 13 tackles. So we want to hone in on 2023 to give you a bigger picture of what this player was capable of doing. The production on your screen, you can see it. He logged 63 tackles, 13 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and a tackle for a loss in 2023. I do think that he's a good player, has lasted 17 games in the first 3 years of his career. Last year, he only played in 4 games due to an injury. So it is just worth noting that there will be other teams interested. I do think that he is a player that would make sense in New Orleans for all of the reasons I've already stated. The injury update, I will say, is worth monitoring, and we obviously hope that he does get cleared medically because I think he would be an excellent addition to this team. And for what it's worth, you never want to see a promising young player have his career get absolutely derailed by injuries, especially with scary ones like Asante Samuel Jr. is dealing with. If you want New Orleans to bring in ASJ, a reunion with Brandon Staley would be absolutely electric. Hit the thumbs up icon if you agree with me. I want ASJ in New Orleans. I know you probably do at home too. So hit the thumbs up icon and let's like this video. Coming up, we're going to talk about the latest updates around this practice squad. A few players have already been signed. And of course, we're also going to talk about the players who have been claimed on waivers, who the Saints brought in, who was brought elsewhere from New Orleans. We're going to talk about that here on the channel. First of all, got to say thank you to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. This episode of Saints Now by Chat Sports is brought to you by the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world, and that is Prize Picks. The football season is almost here. College football is underway, so don't miss out on any of the action this season with Prize Picks. It's a fun and simple way to test your ball knowledge and turn it into cold, hard cash. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Are you hearing me? 2,000 times? You got to take advantage of that. And fun fact, you can go ahead and lay down some projections on college football. 2 potential future Saints legends, Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier. I want to have a little bit of fun for college football week 1. I'm taking the more on Arch Manning rushing or receiving touchdowns. He's going to get one. He's going to rush for a touchdown. We just know that. He's a dog. Garrett Nussmeier, I'm going to take the less on his passing yards. Clemson is going to be tough. LSU, love you, Lopez. They struggle week 1, so I'm just going to try to win some money early so that way I can have more to play with later on. Be sure to check out Prize Picks. You can download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is available in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Join the millions of users and sign up today. Like I mentioned, use code CLNS when you download the Prize Picks app, and you will get $50 instantly. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to Prize Picks. Run your game. Now, a few updates on the practice squad. The New Orleans Saints, for what it's worth, have brought back Jonah Williams. In case you don't know, the practice squad, you can bring back 16 players onto the practice squad. You do get an extra spot granted if you have an IPP, an International Pathway Program player. So like Charlie Smith, for example, would fit that bill. Kellen Moore has emphasized he wants to bring back a lot of these guys. Jonah Williams was the first one to be brought back, as well as Dallas Beenham. He recently was signed back to the practice squad. Nephi Sewell's brought back to the practice squad. Terrell Burgess was brought back to the practice squad. Hunter Dekkers brought back to the practice squad. Jake Haener brought back to the practice squad. We're going to get you a full update on the entire practice squad live later on here at Saints Now by Chat Sports, but wanted to make sure you were informed. As for some waiver claims, the New Orleans Saints brought in 2 players. Wide receiver Trey Palmer from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fun fact, Louisiana native, went to LSU. In 2 seasons, he racked up 51 catches, 557 yards, 4 touchdowns, and almost 11 yards per grab. And then guard Xavier Truss. He was a UDFA out of Georgia that the Denver Broncos signed this past offseason. He has a lot of snaps all over the offensive line. I'm talking tackle, guard, both sides. The only spot he doesn't really have reps in is the center position, but I think that that's a good addition to the offensive line. I think it's a good addition to have somebody who's versatile onto the practice squad as well. Hunter Dekkers, as a waiver claim, I should say. Hunter Dekkers, like I mentioned, brought back to the practice squad. He was signed after a successful minicamp tryout, but so was Jake Haener. Crazy enough, Saints rolling with 2 quarterbacks on the active roster. They bring back Dekkers. They bring back Haener. Don't know which one they're going to keep. I think having 2 is actually kind of wild, if you ask me. I think you only really need 1 practice squad, but you do have the role of the emergency third quarterback and all that kind of good stuff. So you will obviously see some of these guys be standard game day elevations, but for what it's worth, you bring back 2 quarterbacks onto the practice squad. Some more candidates to keep your eyes peeled on. Kind of a list that isn't totally valid anymore just because a lot of these guys have been brought back. Reminder, Terrell Burgess, Nephi Sewell, they are brought back. At the time of scripting this video and getting it together, I thought it would make a lot of sense. And guess what? Your boy knows ball. I do want to see Fadil Diggs and Yashin Davis also brought back. Charlie Smith could be a really good option as well. Obviously, Blake Grupe is the leading kicker, but hey, you have an extra spot for him. Why not use it? Doesn't take up a spot that you already have. In terms of some other players, maybe Trayton Welch, Michael Jacobson in the tight end room, maybe Dante Pettis, so you could have that kick returner versatility in case Velus Jones goes down. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, in my opinion, would make a lot of sense to bring back. Marcus Yarns, Moochie Dixon, 2 other players to keep your eyes on. But I do think the biggest player that I would like to see brought back is Fadil Diggs. I think that it would make a lot of sense for the New Orleans Saints to keep him around. He was really, really productive productive in the preseason. 4 tackles, 1 sack. He came on really quick and then kind of slowed down a little bit, but I do believe that he is a good football player, and with time, I think he will improve. And for what it's worth, I think that he should definitely see some extra time in New Orleans. I really, really was impressed by him. Already beat out Isaiah Foskey, if you ask me, in terms of the production. Him, Chris Rumph, Jashin Davis, all really good players. Chris Rumph makes the roster. I think Fadil Diggs and Jashin Davis makes a lot of sense. I also will say I think that the Saints are going to need more offensive linemen. The injuries always settle in that position. It's just a fact. We know that injuries decimate the O-line, so having more depth and having more players, stick around, build that chemistry now, be in New Orleans, get used to the team, get used to the playbook, get used to the roster. I think that would make a lot of sense. So I would like to see the Saints add a couple more offensive linemen to their practice squad as well. So we'll see what happens. Kyle Hergel, he was a player that the Saints cut. I could see him coming back. He was a effective guard out of Boston College as a UDFA. Maybe he's a player that New Orleans ends up having a reunion with. Now, who's a player who the Saints must bring back? Reminder. There's already been a handful of players that have been brought back, but if you have another player that you want the Saints to bring back on the practice squad and you're like, please, 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 fun fact, Lopez, I don't know if you remember this, Rashid Shaheed at one point was cut. And he was brought back to the practice squad. That was my number one guy. Like, you got to bring him back a few years ago. Fadil Diggs is my guy this year, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. Appreciate y'all for rocking and rolling with us in this video. We're going to be live later on this afternoon to give you the latest updates on the practice squads once it's set. And we're also going to talk about more news, rumors, and everything around the black and gold as week 1 is quickly approaching. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you live at 4 p.m. Central Time. Y'all stay golden.